Hi, everyone. This is Leah Klein, Health and Wholeness Coach. And today, my question for you is: are you looking at God from only one perspective? Our verse is Isaiah 45:7. I form light and create darkness. I make well being and create calamity. I am the Lord who does all these things. How are you looking at God? How are you thinking about God? Are you only thanking Him for the good things? Are you only seeing Him in the blessings and not seeing Him in some of the other things that are happening to you that we would probably not term good, but God's perspective on good versus bad is a whole different discussion that you could have for quite some time. God is not only a God of love, He is also righteous and just. And usually, most commonly, people that have fallen into this camp are the ones that, I believe in the God of the New Testament. I hate to tell you this, but He's the God of the Old Testament and the New Testament. And if you want a complete picture, you've got to look at the whole picture. You need to look at the parts of Him and who He is that is revealed through how He dealt with Israel, His choosing of Israel. Love is still there. But when they fall away, God allows calamity to happen to them. He brings hardship against them so that they will humble themselves and return back to Him. And this is a repeated pattern that you see over and over again through the Old Testament. And what the prophets are calling people to do: come back, come back. So He uses all of these things. And so everything that happens to us comes through His hand in one way, shape, or form. And I don't have a problem with having, He could be, the author of evil, or getting all hung up on this. It's He is the orchestrator. He is the sovereign ruler. There is nothing over which He does not have control. He may not approve of these things, and the evil that these people may do is still subject to His judgment. But He doesn't stop them from doing it. And He uses them as instruments for His good pleasure, for the growth of His people, to bring Him glory, which is the ultimate thing that He is wanting. So when we think about, God is love, it's like, yes, He is, but He does not love evil. And it never says that He does. In fact, it says He hates it. So think of it, an inadequate illustration of this is the parent and child. He is our Father, which means sometimes He does not give us what we think is good for us, but He knows better. And it's not that He's being stingy. It's not that He's withholding from us. It's that He knows it's not for our ultimate good. It is not going to serve our growth and bring us closer to Him. It might push us further away. And so we need to think of things in terms of that, because it's like, if you as a parent say, I love you, I'm going to give you everything you want. You've seen kids that have been raised this way, and it is not a pretty picture. Um, they don't really feel loved because they were never disciplined. They, when they're allowed everything, then not only do they completely go off the rails and do things they shouldn't be doing, but they also underlying subconsciously will think, my parent doesn't care enough about me to stop me. And we could never say that of God. God always cares enough to stop us and to prevent things from harming us that he doesn't want to have happen. And it doesn't mean that things that seem bad and awful to us don't happen. Life happens. And they are also used for everything services God's purposes and his will. Everything. Calamity and well-being, it all serves what he wants, both for us and for the world around us. So I know this is sometimes hard to put our heads around and hard to think about. And some of us have, taken it, with the complete, cop out of, oh, it's just because there's sin in the world and all that. Yes, that's part of it, but that's not anything you do that diminishes God's sovereignty is making him less God. And that is the last thing that you want to do. The bigger God is, more accurate your view of him is, and the better you will be able to handle things. Because if your God is bigger than the known universe, then you're not going to be worried about every little stupid thing that the government may do. Yes, you don't like them or the things they do, but it doesn't mean that you are, woe is me, the world is coming to an end. You don't know that. You don't have the full perspective. And you don't know if God's judging. And at that point, we're back to what he did with Israel and going, okay, where is there fault in me? And where I actually have something I can do about it, and just taking that to God and humbling ourselves and saying, yes, I've been wrong. Yes, things that are going on are wrong, and I acknowledge this fact. What do you want me to do about it? So think about that when you're praying. Ask God to show you all parts of who he is, and humble yourself and ask him if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. Now, one of the great ways of doing this to just really connect with God at the deepest level is to regularly go on personal retreats, one-on-one time with God and his creation. And that is the most valuable way of doing this, just because you disconnect from everything that's worrying you, the craziness of life, electronics, etc. You distance yourself from that. You get quiet and you can hear God speak into you. Hear him use his word to show you he is still in control, even when things seem out of control. So my next guided personal retreat for ladies is here in Arizona, in Pinedale, Arizona, on July 14th through the 16th. And if you want to know more about that, reach out to me either through my website, healthturnaroundcoaching.com, or commenting on the Facebook post. I would love to talk with you, especially if you're closer and it's not, really difficult for you to get here. It is always an amazing and valuable time. So I do encourage you to check that out if that is an available time for you. And I do want to encourage you that making time for God is the most valuable way you could spend your time. And when you're the most busy, from my personal experience, is when you most need this. And just for your own sanity, you have to take some time, even if it's only a few hours, where you are. It will be invaluable to you. So to wrap up our time, I wanted to sing Immortal, Invisible, God Only Wise. Does amazing job of painting the picture of God and his majesty and everything else. So if you know this, feel free to sing along. If not, just listen. Immortal, invisible, God only wise, in light inaccessible, hid from our eyes, most blessed, most glorious, the Ancient of Days, almighty, victorious, thy great name we praise. Unresting, unhasting, and silent as light, nor wanting, nor wasting, thou rulest in might. Thy justice like mountains high soaring above, thy clouds which are fountains of goodness and love. To all life thou givest to both great and small, in all life thou livest the true life of all. We blossom and flourish as leaves on the tree, and wither and perish, but naught changes thee. Great Father of glory, pure Father of light, thine angels adore thee, all veiling their sight. All praise we would render, oh help us to see, 'tis only the splendor of light hideth thee. And I will see you next week with another verse. See you then.